Welcome, welcome, welcome to our first Chat with Sarah. For those of you who don't know, Chat with Sarah is ABC's time to talk with staff and community partners to find more about their background and really to learn about the organization they represent and the work we partner on, which leads to community level systems change. You may remember our previous chat with Spencer, but today we are introducing Sarah Beckman, our new executive director. Hi, Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be here with you, Erika.
Thank you. I'm excited for this too. All right, so being AmeriCorps Week, I also heard that you served 2 years as an AmeriCorps member. What organizations did you partner with?
Sure. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's AmeriCorps Week as well. You're one of 6 AmeriCorps members with Achieve Brown County. And I just think it's really neat that we have so many AmeriCorps members serving with our organization to help us grow. We actually have, in addition to myself, we have 2 other staff members that are alum, our Director of Collaborative Action, and our evidence-based decision-making manager, Christian. They actually both served with ABC and then were hired on as permanent employees, which is really neat. But I actually served as an AmeriCorps VISTA 1 year and as an AmeriCorps state member 1 year. So my first year of AmeriCorps was as a state member with Big Brothers Big Sisters in Wausau. And through that role, I got to work with the school-based mentoring program at Big Brothers Big Sisters, kind of as a case manager. So once matches were already placed at the school-based sites, I got to follow up with each adult volunteer and the kiddos in the match on a monthly basis just to see how their matches were going. And then I also got to produce a newsletter just with ideas and activities of things that they could do together on a monthly basis. So that was really fun. I think I was working in 3 different school districts in the Wausau area at 17 different elementary and middle schools with 100+ adult volunteers and 100+ kids. And by the end of my service year, I actually got to know all the volunteers and kids by name, which you wouldn't think going in. So, and actually that AmeriCorps experience related really closely to my college degree, which was in social work. And then after serving that year, I went and moved back to the Green Bay area, and I was the very first AmeriCorps VISTA member with Greater Green Bay Habitat for Humanity. And so that was a really different role because I went from doing direct service at Big Brothers Big Sisters through AmeriCorps State to a VISTA position, which is more about capacity building and how to help the organization be more sustainable kind of after you're gone and away from the organization. And so in that position, I was a resource development coordinator. So I was more in a fundraising role, helping to build capacity for fundraising for the organization. So I was year 1 of a 3-year grant where they were looking to increase revenue, overall revenue, and donate the number of donations coming into the organization by 20% over 3 years. So I did a lot of research in year 1 and put together a written fund development plan to help outline activities and tactics on how the organization could grow its revenue coming in, and handed it off to my year 2 VISTA for them to actually start fundraising. So yeah, that's just a little bit about how I served, where I served. And so it's really neat to be able to work with you and with all the other VISTAs at ABC, just knowing well, I did this at one point in my career. And really both positions I feel helped bring me to where I am today and guide me into a nonprofit career path. So
Those seem like a lot of wonderful experiences, but let's hone in on that most valuable experience. What would you say your most valuable was?
Let's see. So I would say my most valuable experience while serving in AmeriCorps was at Greater Green Bay Habitat for Humanity. So as that resource development coordinator, one of the things that I got to do outside of my research was work with the executive director and a consulting firm that they hired as they were looking to do a capital campaign to fundraise money to increase the number of homes that they were building over the next 5 years. And so that was a really neat experience to be able to work alongside that executive director and the professional fundraising consultants. I feel like it really allowed me to learn like best practices in fundraising and to just be part of the process and do some of the work behind the scenes. Beyond that, I feel like that's truly like the reason why I fell in love with fundraising and started, like my first full-time nonprofit position after AmeriCorps was as a fund development coordinator at a nonprofit here in Northeast Wisconsin. So like directly related to what I ended up doing in a paid position. So it was really neat.
Wonderful. So let's flip now. Most memorable experience.
Okay, so most memorable was definitely year before. So my first year in AmeriCorps with AmeriCorps State, I was part of a group of probably about 40 AmeriCorps members that served at different nonprofits and schools in the Wausau area. And because we were state and we were direct service, our year was a little bit different. Kind of everyone started on the same timeline. And we had like not only like our local group of AmeriCorps state members that were serving in the Wausau area, but there were people all over Wisconsin. And so from our local group, we got to choose one representative to serve on like a statewide committee to help plan the kickoff activity for all the AmeriCorps members in the state, the year-end activity for all the AmeriCorps members in the state, and our service learning activity on Martin Luther King Day. And so I was like, oh, I want to do this. And so I got chosen as the representative from our group to do that at the state level, serve on that committee. So we got to plan or kick off year-end activities, a huge statewide service project where all the AmeriCorps members came together on MLK Day to volunteer. And so it was the first time that I feel like I was exposed to like committee work outside of college, but also like networking and building relationships with people at like the statewide level, where we were all in our individual communities doing similar types of work. And again, like something that I do in my job today now as well, like even with the Chief Brown County being part of a federated model with a parent organization and our parent organization being Strive Together, like there's other Strive Together executive directors across the US that I get to interact with. And I think back to my early AmeriCorps days and how that was also part of that experience and really cool. So that was definitely most memorable, I think. And even of that, like coming together with everyone from across the state to do that volunteer project with like 1,000+ people was really cool.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Very different than VISTA because you don't necessarily like doing the capacity building work. You don't do the same direct service. So
right, and especially at ABC where we're pretty small, 1,000 people seems pretty big.
right, yeah, 6 VISTAs versus 1,000 people serving across the state.
Yeah. All right, well, we're going to be getting ready for VISTA recruitment soon. I know I don't have much longer left here, but why should people join Chief Brown County as a VISTA?
That is a great question, Erika. We are indeed, yes, definitely getting ready for recruitment. I think we'll probably have 5 of our 6 VISTA positions open this year for people to serve with us from 2022 to 2023. So I guess I can share a little bit. Like I chose to do VISTA when I graduated college before entering the workforce full time. And I feel like for me, that decision was really intentional. Like I wanted to do some sort of service. So I had been looking into like the different branches of the military. I had looked into Peace Corps, and then I had looked into AmeriCorps. And for me, based on like time commitments and maybe where I would be serving, I think family really influenced my decision, wanting to be close to home. And so I chose to do AmeriCorps to serve. And so I think that's one reason that people, choose to serve in AmeriCorps or might want to be a VISTA for an organization like ABC, check out our website in the next month or so as we have positions posted. But I think, I think that there's other reasons that people, choose to serve too. I keep using the word serve, but maybe they don't do it to serve necessarily. They maybe do it to gain job skills or as an opportunity to re-enter the workforce, maybe after not working for a while. I'm trying to think, why did you choose to serve, Erika?
That's a good question. I was actually just thinking about that, thinking of adding that in. Well, for me, it was really location. I pretty much live maybe 3 minutes from the office. So very convenient. I could even walk there if I wanted to, but Wisconsin, it's cold. But on the other hand, I heard about this from a friend. She's actually serving in Montana, so through Vista. Very exciting. I think it's her second year, but she was like, "Hey, check out this program," and so I did, and it was right up my alley. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I want to do all this!" And so it was like a match made in heaven. It was so wonderful, and I applied right away. And I was like, I could not miss out on this opportunity. So that's what
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. So, and I feel like we have a pretty wide variety of VISTAs at ABC too. Like you are in like our communications coordinator VISTA role. So you get to do website communications, like these video things, chats with Sarah, and a whole lot of other things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And then we have a couple of VISTAs that are more in data roles, like analysis and visualization of data. And then we have VISTAs that are also working on our action teams, more so like, I would say a little bit of project management, like meeting facilitation, meeting support, committee support. So I feel like there's like a lot of, and I feel like all of our VISTA roles, lend itself to gaining, I feel like, experience, like even as you're talking about like getting ready to end your VISTA year and doing job interviews and thinking about, how your time here just builds your resume for what you do next too. So I think we definitely have a lot of different areas to work in that could lead to occur in the nonprofit sector, the for-profit sector. So anyone who's listening that knows of any college graduates or people between jobs, high school graduates, like keep an eye on our website and consider AmeriCorps service, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And plus it's a really, close-knit group. I mean, the Vistas hang out, we do things together. It's a really fun time too. It's kind of that community that I've always been looking for. I mean, sometimes you have jobs where you're just a number, but this is just so much more than that. So, but I'll stop my rant there.
Yeah. And I'll say one more thing too. And we started on, this is AmeriCorps week. So we also do fun things during AmeriCorps week, like earlier this week we had gelatos at Sarah's Gelato. And we did a team-wide or company-wide service activity as part of AmeriCorps week. We did, what did we do on Monday this week during the staff meeting? We
showed off our AmeriCorps swag.
Yes. Yeah, so fun stuff throughout the year. And even on MLK Day, we had two of our VISTAs, actually you were one of them, that led some MLK Day activities with the rest of the ABC staff. So that was really awesome. The things that you do outside of your normal day-to-day job duties, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's switch gears. Let's talk more personally about you. I'm sure people are wondering that I want to hear all this. Just kidding. So I guess, who are you? What do you do in your free time? Any hobbies?
Sure, yeah. And I'm so excited to be here and have this opportunity to kind of share a little bit more about myself as I'm continuing to get settled in and achieve. So personally, I just moved back to the area. So I was previously living with my partner, Chris, in Sheboygan County for the past 4 years, working at a nonprofit down there. And we moved back to the area actually on Halloween weekend. So we got to do trick-or-treating in our neighborhood when we first moved back. I will say we were like completely in unpack mode. So we put bowls out on the front porch and a sign and said, take some candy, don't ring our doorbell, we're unpacking. But so really excited to be back in the Green Bay area. I spent a lot of time in the area since college. working at several nonprofit organizations. So it's been really fun to reconnect with friends in the area. Our move back brought us closer to family. Really like spending time with my family and with Chris's family. Between the two of us, we have 5 nephews that range from age 2 to age 15. And they're all boys. So they're like rambunctious and lots of energy. I grew up spending a ton of time outside. So I really like outdoor activities, whether it's just taking a walk, going hiking. We have kayaks and paddle boards. So we like to get out on lakes and rivers during the summer, snowshoeing in the winter. Yeah, and I will say one of the other things that most people who know me well, they know that I really enjoy volunteering. So I'm like a person that works at a nonprofit by day and also enjoys spending time with other nonprofit and community-based organizations in my free time. So one of the things that I'm looking to do is just get reconnected to my volunteer service in the greater Green Bay area. Just with moving back and really only being here about 4 or 5 months now, I haven't had that opportunity quite yet, but looking forward to it.
Great, thank you. So you kind of touched on a little bit of your professional background, but really tell us your journey up until Achieve Brown County. How did you get here?
Sure, yeah, I would be happy to share more about kind of my professional journey. So I grew up in Wisconsin. I'm originally from Wausau, and most of my family still lives in the Wausau area. Growing up, I think about like my childhood and upbringing. Mom, dad, my sister and I, family of 4. I feel like I was always involved in a ton of things growing up, as I am still today. Like I remember doing like volunteer things through Girl Scouts, through church with my mom and my sister. And then in school, I was always very involved in athletics. I played volleyball, basketball, and ran track and field. And through sports, like I was doing fundraising and, we were doing team building things, with the team. I was in German club, I was in Key Club, like I did all of these things. And like thinking back now, it's like, okay, like those are things you enjoyed doing, like you were naturally doing them, but I didn't really know that it would lead per se to a career today, because I feel like much of what I did growing up, I'm still doing today. So I'm also a first generation college graduate. So I think back to my journey to college, and even as I think about like my sister and I, we've lived pretty different lives. Like she has not gone on to higher education, and she had her first child, my oldest nephew, who's 15, when she was pretty young. And so I think about, my path to college. I applied for one school and I got in, and that was UW Green Bay. And so I moved to Green Bay for college and was able to graduate in 4 years with a social work degree. And again, kind of when I went into college, I was thinking I was going to do pre-med for physical therapy. And then I didn't take a science class my freshman year or my sophomore year. And I just kind of took classes that interested me. And as I reevaluated, like, what is my major going to be, or what am I going to school for? I naturally started, spending time with friends. Oh, this is our office at Achieve Brown County, and my light goes out every now and then if I don't move. So there we go. But as I was saying, I naturally started forming friendships with people who were going to school for similar degrees, other people in the social work program, psychology, human development, kind of those helping fields. Eventually, I was connecting the dots and figured like, oh, I'm on track to complete, to apply for the social work program. And I got admitted and eventually graduated with my social work degree. I will say through college, I also did a ton of volunteer work and was involved with a lot of student organizations, namely Habitat for Humanity and Social Work Club. So did a lot of volunteer work through that, which is how I first learned of AmeriCorps. During our spring and winter break trips through Habitat, we were down on the Gulf Coast doing Hurricane Katrina cleanup, and there were tons of AmeriCorps workers working on habitat construction sites with volunteers from all over the United States. And so that's where I, like, one of the reasons, like, I was first exposed to this idea of service after college. And so when I first graduated, I did my 2 years of AmeriCorps, and then got my first nonprofit job working at Family Services of Northeast Wisconsin in their marketing and development department, communications, marketing development, doing fundraising. And I was the fund development coordinator at Family Services for several years, working primarily on event fundraising and annual giving activities for the organization. And from Family Services, I moved on to Girl Scouts of the Northwestern Great Lakes, which was a larger organization than Family Services in terms of the amount of territory that it covered. The council I worked for was 57, 58 counties across all of Northeast, Northern Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan. And so there I also did fundraising, and I managed all fund development activities for the greater Green Bay region of the council, so like 7-8 counties. Really enjoyed that work. And after some time, had transitioned over to Greater Green Bay Habitat for Humanity, which is, again, an organization that I first got involved in college and had done one of my 2 AmeriCorps years with, and was just really excited about going back to that organization and seeing that, like, the result of myself and the 2 other VISTAs that served there increased the capacity of that organization to be able to hire a development director. And I was not the first development director there that they hired, but in line of a few before me, was excited to go back and fundraise for that organization. So while I was at Habitat in the development director role, I think I started looking into continuing education and decided to pursue my MBA. And so I enrolled in school at St. Norbert College through the Schneider School of Business. And started earning my MBA. I was really excited to do that and still be in this community. And then an opportunity opened up in the habitat world for me to transition down to Sheboygan County and be with Habitat for Humanity Lakeside as their executive director. And so that, for me, marked the first time of really leaving the greater Green Bay community since I had moved here as like an 18-year-old, like very green young adult out of high school. And so that's where I kind of spent the last 4 years running Habitat for Humanity Lakeside as their executive director down in Sheboygan County, learning so much about really what it's like to be kind of brand new to a community and not really have any networks or people that you know. And so we actually just this last year in 2021 started to have and experience some aging parents. And as we considered how we can support our families, we decided that we wanted to move back to the greater Green Bay area to be closer to our families. And so ultimately, that's kind of what led me to moving back to the area. And as I started like last fall and early November, as I started physically being in the community again and reconnecting with people that I had developed connections with throughout my time with all the other nonprofits I had worked with, is when I first heard of the opening at Achieve Brown County. And so I feel like the rest, they say, in stories is history. And here I am, interviewed for the role in December and took some time off over the holidays and have been here with Achieve now since January 10th. And it's just been a whirlwind of a couple of months. It's gone fast.
Yeah, it's gone quick. Well, I guess using 3 words, how would you describe those, that first dip into ABC?
Sure. Yeah. So I wrote down some words. I can't say that there's 3 words, but I think I was telling you earlier as we were chatting before we started chat with Sarah today. I was like, I think I have like 3 phrases that
that's okay.
About my time at ABC so far. So first, I would say very busy, lots of continuous learning. So having been away from the community for, you think about 4 years and it doesn't seem like that long of a time, but a lot has changed in the greater Green Bay area, Brown County, in the time that I was a little farther south. And so coming back to the area, and being in the area before as well, I knew a little bit about Achieve Brown County and how it was formed and when the first executive director was hired. And so I was excited to start. And as the weeks went on, and now I'm in, well, today is Saturday, so this marks the end of 10 weeks for me now. I feel like every week that I've been here, I've learned how much more there is to learn, and the weeks have gone by really fast. There's so many people involved in our organization. I think about all of the partners that we have, from schools and nonprofits and the business community and government entities and individual community members that serve with our organization. And there's so many people that I want to meet and just get to know and understand their history with the organization. And what do I keep telling myself? I'm like, give yourself some grace, Sarah. It's been 2.5 months. So I think in terms of like busyness and continuous learning, I think that journey will continue probably through at least, my first year and beyond with the organization. So I will say to anyone who I've had the opportunity to meet that has interacted with our organization, thank you for all that you do for Achieve Brown County. And for those that I haven't had the chance to meet, I look forward to meeting you and learning about your interactions with our organization. The second kind of phrase that I wrote down as I thought about my first month is that there is just a really strong sense of community and collaboration embedded among our mission and the organization. I feel like this, I feel this through the staff, like our entire team. I see it every day and every week that I've been here. I see it at our volunteer leadership level. And I think it really just, it aligns well with us being really a collective impact organization, or I think about community-led collective impact. All of the organizations that are involved on the data side of our organization, or evidence-based decision-making side of our organization, as well as the collaborative action and continuous improvement side. It's been amazing to experience and be part of that. And I just look forward to, actually, I look forward to the future. And so my third word or a phrase is, that I've experienced in my first couple of months here is excitement for the future. And I think, to me, that excitement that I have for the future of Achieve Brown County dates all the way back to when I first started interviewing for the role. And I felt that excitement. I don't know that leadership transitions within organizations are ever really easy. But I felt, with Spencer leaving the organization and then working with Jamie Pratt through the leadership transition and the board of directors, like everyone is just really, really excited for the future of Achieve Brown County. We're such a young nonprofit organization, only being about 8 years young or old, however you want to refer to it. And it's just, you think about the progress that we've made early on in our years and some of the things that are still to be seen. I think realizing the potential of data and all of the data contributors that are involved in our community information system and some of the work of our action teams, especially along systems transformation with like our graduation task force and our community online ASQ system team, or our COAS team, just the work that's being done and that has been done. I feel like we're starting to realize and see big wins, and that's being noticed. And there's just so much opportunity and possibility for our future. And I'm just really, really excited to be here and to be part of that, and to help guide and continue to bring people together to be able to carry out our mission and to improve Brown County for all young people, right?
Yeah, we are so happy to have you. I mean, we've already made so much progress in just 8 years. Our roots run real deep into Brown County, but I'm sure with all your connections, we're really gonna, dig a little deeper. So
Mhm.
super exciting. But I guess that's really all I have. Is there anything else you want to add before we close?
I don't know that I have anything else to add. I'm looking forward to continuing this series. And I know, Erika, you and I have already been talking about who our potential next guests will be. So I would encourage everyone to stay tuned to social media, to our website, our newsletter, and we should be announcing real soon our next few speakers, partners that we'll be bringing in to chat with Sarah, right?
Yeah, very, very excited to get this going. So, all right, well, that's what we have. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned.
Hi,
Bye.
everyone.